The WTA did not call this match box office because it is friendly hype. They called it box office because somebody's summer could change shape in one night. If Anisimova wins, she reminds everyone that top 10 power still has a ceiling Alex has not reached yet. But if Alex survives that first wave and drags her into a real fight, that is why this matchup feels strange before the first ball is even hit. Officially, it is a round of 32 match, not a semifinal, not a final. Not some old rivalry with years of tension behind it. Alex Eala and Amanda Anisimova have never played each other professionally. There is no head-to-head record to study, no revenge story to reopen, no obvious reason for this to feel like one of the loudest matches on the schedule. And still, it does. Box office. That phrase matters because tennis does not use it for every good draw. It is the kind of phrase that says the match has something unstable inside it, something that could turn fast, something that might look simple on paper, then get weird once the crowd realizes what is happening. Anisimova is the higher seed. She is the top 10 American. She has the bigger first strike game, the cleaner power, and the kind of backhand that can take time away before the point even has a shape. Alex is walking in with a different kind of force. Not mystery anymore. That version of the story is gone. Washington changed it. The Pegula final changed it. The crowds around her changed it. The way people talk about her changed it. A few months ago, this matchup would have been framed as a great learning experience for a young player trying to find out where she belongs. Now it feels like a test for both players. Anisimova is trying to stop the surge. Alex is trying to prove the surge is not a one-week spark. One player is protecting her place in the hierarchy. The other is trying to enter the part of the draw where opponents no longer admire the story. They prepare for her. And that is the uncomfortable part. Nobody can be completely sure who carries the pressure. Alex enters Cincinnati with the hottest stretch of her career still fresh. Washington was not some lucky title run where the draw opened and she quietly slipped through. She had to fight through difficult scorelines. She had to beat Jessica Pegula in a final that started to look like it belonged to the American. Pegula took the opening set, 6-4. A top player across the net, a title on the line, a final beginning to tilt away. But Alex did not play like someone trying to survive the occasion. After the delay, she came back with this odd calmness, like she had used the pause to separate the emotion from the job. She won the second set, 6-4. Then she ran through the third, 6-love. Not against a player overwhelmed by the stage, against Pegula, one of the most reliable hard-court players in the world. That is why Washington keeps following Alex into every match after it. It was not just the trophy. It was the way she finished. She won 10 of the final 13 games, and by the end, the match did not feel like a random upset anymore. It felt like she had solved something in real time. That is a dangerous look. Once a player learns she can survive a bad start against elite opposition, she stops panicking when the first 20 minutes go wrong. The scoreboard can say one thing, her face can say another. Alex followed that title by reaching the round of 16 in Toronto, then came into Cincinnati and moved on after leading Elena Gabriela Ruse 6-1, 3-love, when Ruse retired. The WTA reported that Alex had won 8 of her past 9 matches. That is not a cute run anymore. That is rhythm. That is proof sitting in the body. Anisimova's situation is different. She is not introducing herself to the tour. She is trying to remind everyone what her best tennis can still do. She has already lived near the top. She has played inside pressure. She knows what it feels like when every loose game gets judged louder because people know how high the ceiling is. That is why Cincinnati matters for her too. Her Toronto runner-up run belongs to the past, not this summer. This year, Toronto ended in the round of 16 against Elena Svitolina, 6-2, 6-4. So Cincinnati becomes a chance to steady the story before the US Open, not with a dramatic statement, just by doing what powerful top 10 players are supposed to do. Step on court, control the first strike, and make the rising player feel the gap. against Zeynep Sönmez. Anisimova did exactly what she needed to do. She won 6-2, 6-3, clean, direct. No drawn-out problem. Just early ball striking and enough timing to look dangerous. So this is not one hot player against one fading name. That would be too easy. This is two different claims on the same summer. Alex is saying Washington changed her level. Anisimova is saying the tour still has levels, and she is one of the players who can enforce them. The results explain why people are watching. The matchup explains why nobody can look away. Because once this match actually starts, it becomes a fight over time. That sounds small, but in tennis, time is everything. Anisimova wants to steal it from Alex before Alex can build anything. She does not want a long conversation from the baseline. She does not want rallies where Alex gets to slide, reset, change the angle, and ask another question. Anisimova wants the point to feel rushed. She wants the first clean strike to tilt the exchange before Alex has a chance to organize. That is why her backhand down the line matters so much. When Anisimova catches that ball early, a neutral rally can disappear in one shot. The court opens. The opponent is late. The crowd makes that little sound it makes when a ball lands too cleanly. Suddenly the match is being played at Anisimova's speed. That is the danger for Alex. Her serve is good enough to start points, but it is not one of those giant first serves that automatically buys breathing room. Against some players, that is fine. Against Anisimova, it can become an invitation. If the American steps in on second serves and drives returns deep through the middle, Alex may not even get the chance to open the court with her left-handed forehand. And that is where things can get uncomfortable quickly. Not because Alex cannot handle pace, she can. The issue is the kind of pace Anisimova creates. It is early. It arrives before the rally has settled, before the opponent has balance, before the point has a rhythm. There is a big difference between defending against power and defending against power that gets there half a second before you are ready. So if you are watching the first few games, do not only watch the score. Watch where Alex is standing after her serve. Is she holding the baseline? Is she balanced enough to redirect the next ball? Or is she already several feet behind the line, blocking, reaching, trying to keep herself alive? That detail may tell the story before the scoreboard does. If Alex gets pushed back early, Anisimova gets exactly the match she wants. Short points, first strike, quick holds, pressure on every Alex service game. Once that rhythm begins, the court can feel like it is shrinking. But Alex has a way to fight back. And it is not by trying to outhit Anisimova straight through the middle. That would be the trap. The better path is geometry. Make Anisimova move before she unloads. Use the lefty forehand to drag her wide. Return deep enough that the first attack is not clean. Change direction when the rally starts to feel predictable. Not every shot has to be spectacular. Sometimes the whole point is just to make the easy finish disappear. That is where Alex becomes annoying in the best possible way. She can defend, yes, but defense alone will not win this match. If she only sends the ball back safely, Anisimova will keep stepping forward until one of those backhands breaks the point open. Alex has to turn survival into disruption. A deep ball here, a sharper angle there. A recovery shot that lands in a place where Anisimova has to hit while moving. One more ball. That may be the whole match. Anisimova wants the point finished in 3 or 4 shots. Alex wants to make her play the 5th, then the 6th, then the awkward one. The one where the feet are not quite set. The one where the line suddenly looks tempting. The one where a player who has been cruising has to decide whether to stay patient or force the ending. And that decision is where tennis becomes psychological. Heavy hitters do not win only with power. They win by making the other player accept the pace of the match. They make every neutral ball feel dangerous. They make you rush your own choices because you know what is coming back. Alex has to refuse that agreement. She has to make this messy. Not ugly. Messy. There is a difference. Ugly tennis is random. Messy tennis has a purpose. It breaks rhythm. It stretches points just long enough to ask whether the favorite is still comfortable when the clean winner does not arrive right away. And if that happens, the match could flip emotionally before it flips on the scoreboard, because Alex's most dangerous quality this summer has not always appeared when she is ahead. It has appeared when she is supposed to be in trouble. That is what made Washington feel so strange. Against Pegula, Alex lost the first set, 6-4. That should have changed the temperature of the final. Pegula is too steady, too experienced, too good on hard courts to give a young player endless chances. A lot of players would have started playing faster, forcing more, trying to prove they belonged before the match slipped away. Alex did something quieter. She stayed inside the match. That means she did not turn one bad stretch into a full story. She did not let the ranking across the net speak louder than her own choices. She took in information, adjusted, and kept making Pegula beat her point by point. Then the match changed. Alex won the second set, 6-4, and the third, 6-love. The scoreline is the headline, but the more interesting part was how calm she looked once the match started coming toward her. She did not look shocked by the comeback. Other people were shocked. She looked like she had been collecting clues and finally knew where to press. That is the version of Alex that makes this match so interesting. Because if Anisimova starts hot, the first reaction might be obvious. Okay, this is the level gap. This is top 10 pace. This is what happens when a powerful American gets her feet set on a home hard court. But Alex has already trained people to be careful with that assumption. Earlier in Washington, she came back from 5-1 down in the second set against Leylah Fernandez. That matters because the Pegula final was not one magical afternoon. It was part of a pattern. Alex can look boxed in, and then somehow the box starts getting smaller for the other player. The weird part is how she does it. She is not the kind of player who needs to roar after every point just to convince herself she is alive. Her comeback energy is more observational. She seems to watch what is hurting her, absorb it, and slowly take away the clean version of the opponent's plan. The score may move against her, but her body language does not always follow it. That can be frustrating to play against. You think you have control, but she is still there. You think the point is over, but she makes you hit again. You think the match has a clear direction, but her level starts changing at the exact moment the crowd expects her to fade. That is where Anisimova has to be careful. When Anisimova is feeling clean, she can be overwhelming. An early break can unlock her whole game. The returns get bigger. The backhand starts flying closer to the lines. The forehand becomes less of a setup shot and more of a finishing punch. Once that confidence arrives, the opponent is not only defending the court, she is defending against the feeling that the match is running away. For Alex, that is the first real danger. She cannot spend the opening set just gathering information if Anisimova is already taking full control. Against some opponents, a slow start is recoverable. Against a hitter like this, a slow start can become a set and a break before the match has room to breathe. So this is the paradox. Alex knows she can come back. That belief is real. It has been tested. But Anisimova has the tools to make a comeback feel impossible. She can compress the match. She can turn service games into emergencies. She can make the scoreboard move so fast that Alex's usual reset never gets a clean doorway. That is why the first set is not just the first set here. It is a negotiation over what kind of match this becomes. If Anisimova wins it by dictating early and taking Alex's serve apart, Cincinnati may see a top 10 player closing the gate. But if Alex keeps it close, or starts dragging Anisimova into longer, uncomfortable games, the atmosphere changes. The favorite begins to feel the time stretching. The crowd starts sensing that Alex is still reading the match. Every extra ball begins to carry weight. That is when the emotional pressure can reverse. On paper, Anisimova has the advantage. Higher ranking, bigger power, more familiar conditions. A game that can explode on hard court. But expectation is not always a gift. Sometimes it becomes a weight you only feel when the lower seed refuses to go away. And that may be the hidden danger of this match. Anisimova does not only have to beat Alex, She has to stop the story before it grows in front of her. That is why the official prize does not fully explain the pressure. The bracket says the winner reaches the round of 16 in Cincinnati. That is real. A WTA 1000 event this close to the US Open is not a place where players treat matches like warm-ups. But the bigger prize is status. For Alex, this is the part of the climb that gets harder to measure. Washington gave her the trophy. Beating Pegula gave her the headline. Moving through Toronto and Cincinnati gave her proof that the run had legs. But tennis is cruel in one specific way. After the breakthrough, people immediately ask if you can do it again. That is where this match sits. Alex is already projected around a career-high number 17 after Cincinnati's early rounds, with 2,221 points. A win over Anisimova would push that higher, to 2,276 points. It would not automatically make her top 15. Diana Schneider would still be just ahead in the live picture. But honestly, the number is not the loudest part. The loudest part would be the name she beat to get there. Another top 10 win, right after taking down Pegula in Washington, changes the way people talk about a player. One win can be a moment. Two wins close together start to feel like a warning. Coaches notice. Draw sheets feel different. Opponents stop saying, "Let's see if she can handle this level," and start saying, "We need to make sure she does not get comfortable." It would say her summer is no longer a burst of emotion from one great week. It would say her game is traveling. Different city, different opponent, same pressure, still dangerous. And that matters before the US Open, because seeded players are not only judged by their ranking, they are judged by the feeling they create in a draw. Some names look beatable until you watch how the tour reacts to them. Alex is moving toward that space where her name does not just excite fans, it makes other players uncomfortable. Anisimova has a different burden. She is already inside the top tier. She is the higher seed. She is the American, with the bigger weapons on an American hard court. That sounds like comfort, but it also creates expectation. She is supposed to win matches like this. She is supposed to stop the hot young story before it turns into something bigger. That is not always easy, because if Anisimova wins, people will say she did what she should have done. If Alex wins, the whole conversation shifts. Suddenly, the story is not about a promising player having a nice summer. It is about a player who keeps walking into bigger names and leaving with more evidence. That is the pressure reversal. The lower seed may be the one with more freedom. The higher seed may be the one carrying the match's weight. And this is where the WTA's box office label starts making real sense. Not because Alex and Anisimova already have history. They do not. Not because this is a final hiding in the middle of the draw. It is not. The reason this match feels like an event is because everything you need for a rivalry is arriving before the rivalry even exists. There are visible stakes. A spot in the round of 16. Valuable ranking points. A sharper position before New York. A road that only gets harder from here. There is no head-to-head record to calm the story down. Nobody can point to the past and say, "This is usually how it goes." We do not know how Anisimova's power looks against Alex's left-handed patterns over a full match. We do not know if Alex can protect enough service games when Anisimova is attacking early. We do not know if the first strike wins, or if the extra ball becomes the thing that cracks the match open. That uncertainty is the product. Then there is the contrast in star power. Anisimova brings instant danger. Her best points do not need much explanation. The ball comes off her strings heavy and early, and the court suddenly looks too small for the person defending it. Alex brings something else. History. Movement. A fan base that follows the match with a different kind of pulse. When Filipino flags start appearing around a court, the atmosphere changes. It stops feeling like a neutral session and starts feeling like a community has entered the building. Even Anisimova seemed to understand that. She talked about Alex having an incredible year, called her a great player, and expected the stadium to be packed. That kind of comment matters, because it makes the hype feel less manufactured. The opponent can feel it too, and maybe that is the real reveal. Before Washington, Alex was a young player people were curious about. After Washington, she became a champion. If she beats Anisimova in Cincinnati, she becomes something more uncomfortable for the tour. A repeatable problem. Not unbeatable, not finished, not suddenly above everyone else. That would be too much. But a problem in the way good players hate dealing with. A player who can take a punch early, learn during the match, drag power into awkward spaces, and bring a crowd with her while she does it. That is why this is box office. Anisimova can overpower Alex before the match fully forms. She can step in, take the ball early, and make the whole night feel like a top 10 reminder. But Alex has spent the summer surviving the exact moments when opponents thought they had her under control. One player wants 3 or 4 shots. The other wants 1 more. One carries the ranking. The other carries the feeling that something bigger is still unfolding. The scoreboard will decide who reaches the round of 16. But the atmosphere may reveal something else. Alex is no longer just showing up in these matches and hoping people notice. They already notice. Now the question is whether she can walk into a match the WTA calls box office and become the reason it lives up to the name. So make the call before the first ball is played. Does Anisimova's firepower shut the door? Or does Alex absorb it long enough to turn Cincinnati into another chapter of the most unexpected rise of the summer?